if you've ever wanted to make yourself a little drawer front with a tiny little scratch bead around the edge, but you weren't exactly sure how to do it and you didn't want to go spend a bunch of money on, you know, a specialized tool, I'm going to show you how to make your very own scratch beater right now. And pretty much everything that we need to make it is right here on the bench. You need a small block of wood, any kind you like, a drill and a drill bit, a screwdriver, some kind of a file or a rasp, a block plane, and you need your bandsaw or a good coping saw. You can see I just rough sketched an arc across the back of my scratch stock block, and now we just cut it out on the bandsaw. Watch your fingers. So here we are back at the bench with our block that we rough cut that circle on. And the first thing I want to do is smooth that up a little bit. Hence the reason I told you we were going to need our file or a rasp. So I'm going to put it right in my vise, leave part of it sticking up and out. And I'm just going to roughly smooth off those bandsaw marks. Normally I do this on my 12-inch stationary disc sander. If you've got one, you know, I suggest you can use that too. The surface doesn't need to be perfectly round, nor does it need to be perfectly smooth. Flip it around, hit the other side real quick. Just a little bit more. Excellent. The next step is I want to drill a pilot hole for my screw. So what I'm going to do is set it in with the flat side up into my vise, take my drill, and I'm going to go approximately in the center, left to right, and I'm going to move slightly towards one side, and you'll see why in just a little bit. So I'm just going to fire this all the way through that block. Excellent. Next step, take our screw and put it into the block. So far, rocket science. Screw that down. I want it to be about, anywhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch away from our block. Now that I've got the screw all the way down there in the block, I'm going to grab just a mill file, and I'm going to file that off until that screw has a nice sharp edge. You know, because I don't know where you get your screws, but mine don't have sharp edges anymore. They're nice and round. So this isn't going to work if we use a rounded edge. So we want to go down until we're good and sharp. And if you end up filing down to the point where you're almost losing the slot, take a hacksaw, run it in there, make your slot a little deeper, because you're going to use that slot to adjust the size of your bead. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish filing this, and then I'm going to show you how we put it to work. Now that I've got that sharpened up, got a nice sharp hook on there, what I'm going to do is bead this drawer front. So we're going to just start right on the end, and actually need, well, we got it. So I'm going to start right on that end, and I'm just going to slice right across there. Putting a little bit of downward pressure on there. You can see I'm leaving behind just a nice clean score line. To do that edge, I'm just going to run right down the side. And you're going to say, you know, that looks nice. It's got a nice little line scratched in there. But that outside edge is still sharp. That's what the block cleaning comes in. I'm just going to give it a hint of a round over here. You could also use a hunk of sandpaper. Come right across the end of that board. And you've got yourself a nice little scratch bead around there. Now, you're probably wondering why we made the backside round. It's not just for feel. All right? If we're going to bead an arched surface, you take your block, you reverse the screw, put it on the round side. And now, I'm going to flip it over and come from the other side. And I can just work my way right around and scratch out a nice curved bead. So if you were doing the apron on a hunt board or some kind of a contemporary piece where you had a nice gentle arch or even a really sharp arch, that's why you're going to use that. And to round that off on the inside, I'm just going to use my file and go back in there and round that right up perfectly. The sharper you make the screw, the deeper you can cut that scribe line, and the more this is going to look like a real scratch bead that ran, you know, with a half round.